When I'm working on my own music in my home studio, I like to work to the 24-track principle. That's planning things out so that I don't record any more than 24 tracks. It keeps things manageable. Yes, it takes a bit more time in terms of arrangement, but when it comes to mixing, I get rewarded in spades. It makes the mix sound so much better. It gives me so much space, so much more clarity, and it's just so much more fun to keep things simple. But I know back in the real world, if you're working with other people or with clients, it's not always the case, and often you're going to be sent in pieces with way more than 24 tracks. Fortunately, there's a great, very effective method so that you can keep things simple even if you've got way more than 24 tracks to deal with. I'm going to show you how to do that right now. Let's dive straight in. So here we are with our track, and the first thing that I'm going to do is take a look through the mix and see what tracks can be bundled together. And an obvious place to start would be with the drums. Down here we've got kick, snare, hi-hat, tom, overheads and room. 6 separate mics, 6 separate tracks, and I want to pare that down. I want to simplify it down onto one fader. So I'm going to right click here in Studio One, and that's going to allow me to add a bus channel, which I'm going to call drums. Now I'm going to head back over to my 6 tracks. I'm going to highlight all of them, and at the moment they're all being sent through to the main master. I'm going to change that and I'm going to send them through to my new drums bus. So now I've got one fader at the end of my mix just here called drums, where I can independently control the fader of super simply. Now, as it stands at the moment, I've kind of made things worse than better, because I've ended up, rather than 6 tracks, with 7 tracks to look at. So what I want to do now is go back to these 6 tracks, bring up my track menu. You can do that here in Studio One. Just click on these 3 little lines, and that's going to bring up your tracks menu. And you can hide what tracks you no longer need to see. So that's going to be my kick, my snare, my hi-hat, my toms, my overhead and room. And this is much better than deleting those tracks, because if you need to at any point, you want to go back and change the panning or do any work on an individual track, it's super easy, just one click just to bring the track back. But for mixing purposes, we've made things way easier. You can already see just on this screen that now we've got all of these tracks fitting just onto this one screen. So I'm going to continue. I'm going to choose my strats this time. So I've got some strats in the verse. Let's just take a listen to what's going on. So double tracked electric guitars.
Just one taste, don't walk by it from your face.
So when I want to be working on the mix with those 2 guitars, I can be working on 1 track rather than 2. It's going to make my life easier. So once again, I'm going to right click, add a bus channel. I'm going to call this one Strats. I'm going to do exactly the same thing again, highlight both the tracks, change them from main to Strats this time. Then I can head over to my instrument panel and hide these 2. Now I've got these 2 faders controlling the drums and my verse Strat guitars. You can see things are getting simpler and simpler. I'm going to repeat this process for another set of electric guitars. I'm also going to repeat it for my backing vocals and our backing vocals too. If you want to learn more about an effective mix method that you can do right now from your home studio, I've got a free 7-step mixing guide. You can grab that below this video. So now I've paired all of my tracks together that I could do. I've done my drums, I've done the Strat guitars, my R's, my backing vocals and my Les Paul. Here's my drums, Strat guitar. I've got some R's. Let's just check them out. There they are. Some backing vocals and my Les Paul. There it is. All on each individual fader. Now I started off with 24 tracks. I've managed to pare this down to 13 tracks, so this is super manageable, super easy for mixing, and if I ever do want to go back, I can go back to these hidden tracks at any point to play around with them if I require to, but it's so much easier on the eye. Now if you go through this process and you still find you've got quite an unmanageable amount of tracks to work with, what I would suggest is then just focusing in on what the real important stuff is, and then just shelving the other stuff. I'm talking about shakers, tambourines, all that percussion stuff, little overdubs, maybe stuff that happens right at the end of the song, a bit of synth here and there. You know, that stuff isn't going to make or break a mix, but sooner focus your time and energy on the vocals, on the drums, on the bass, those key areas of your mix. If you're interested in taking your mixes to the next level but keeping things simple and effective, I've got an awesome course called Channel Strip 101. It's focusing in on EQ and compression and ear training. It's great for beginners and great if you've been working in your studio for a while but just not getting the results that you know you're capable of. And I want to give you 10% off that course with coupon code YouTube10. The link for Channel Strip 101 is also below this video. If you've got anything else to add to this video that's going to help other people, do drop in the comments box below. I'd love to hear from you, and I'm sure they would too. Don't forget to like and subscribe up to Real Home Studio here on YouTube. And if you're interested in simple but effective mixing, I think you're going to really enjoy this next video.